Welcome to a world of laughs where humor knows no bounds. Enjoyed your stay? Subscribe, hit like, and keep the chuckles coming. Remember, laughter is timeless.
There was a modest business establishment run by a gentleman known as Mr. Smith. This wasn't a sprawling enterprise, but a small local operation that had the warm touch of a business close to the heart. Within this workplace, there were two diligent workers, Sarah and Jack. Day in and day out, they would show up to their jobs and give every task everything they had, often staying beyond the required hours, ensuring everything was done correctly. However, times turned a bit challenging, as they often do in the ebb and flow of running a business. Mr. Smith found himself nestled in his office chair, poring over the crisp pages of his financial ledger one cool, overcast day. The numbers, unfortunately, didn't hold the promise he had hoped for. It became clear that the business's earnings were strained and could no longer support the luxury of 2 employees, no matter how stellar they were. This realization burdened Mr. Smith with the unenviable decision of choosing someone to lay off. He couldn't find any professional fault with either Sarah or Jack, which complicated matters considerably. They were both exemplary, he thought. So, he pondered a criterion, a method to make a fair decision. After much contemplation and another cup of coffee, he had an idea. He would observe them at work, noting their dedication, and decide based on their behavior who would inadvertently volunteer to be let go. The criterion was simple. The first one to pause their work for any reason would be the one. From the vantage point of his office, he watched Sarah and Jack immersed in their tasks, the usual hustle and bustle of the work environment alive around them. Time passed, and the decision seemed increasingly difficult as neither showed signs of stopping. That was until fate stepped in. Sarah began to feel the burgeoning pressure of a headache. It wasn't just any headache, but the kind that demanded attention. The kind that made the lights seem overly bright and the room unnaturally loud. Knowing she couldn't continue her work with the pain, Sarah reached for her purse, retrieving an aspirin with the hope it would nix the headache in the bud. She then made her way to the water cooler for a glass of water, a necessary chaser to the medication. Mr. Smith saw this as his opportunity. He rose from his chair, straightened his tie, and followed Sarah. As she stood unsuspectingly at the water cooler, he tapped her shoulder gently, garnering her attention before breaking the news. "Sarah," he began, with a tone of regret. "I'm in a tough spot with the business finances, and I need to make some changes. It's down at having to lay you or Jack off." The pain still throbbing in her temples, Sarah turned, and with a mix of quick wit and the day's frustration, she replied, "You'll have to jack off. I have a headache."